speaking of Adam, so this is for Matt, the key to our defense. What type of defensive scheme do you think will give us the best chance to be successful and, most importantly, to stop the run?
Yeah, so good question, Adam. And I think, at this point in February, haven't had spring ball yet. And we're a long way away from August training camp. And then, of course, the Vegas opener against Brian Kelly and LSU. We're at a point where, we're coming off the Alex Grinch nightmare. And Adam, along with a lot of the other people in the chat, that the main problem with Alex Grinch, purely from a schematic standpoint, was that it was too complicated. That there was too much built into the scheme, and that created the confusion. And you didn't just have a natural read, react, seek, destroy mentality from defensive players. That they weren't just able to see ball, get ball, see guy, hit guy. It should be at a certain level. You should be able to just naturally read, react, process plays. Your mind's empty. A little Buddhist football there. You have your clear mind. You just do. Like, you don't want to be overthinking on the field. Things should just come naturally. And Alex Grinch's complexity, the things he put in the scheme, it was a barrier to mental clarity. It was a barrier to natural, instinctive understanding. So in terms of should we do a 3-4, a 4-3, like single high, cover zero, whatever, Tampa 2, the main thing is getting guys where there's clarity, there's perfect understanding, there's good technique. Can we stop the run, Adam? Tackle, be physical, be sound. Things that USC wasn't until the Holiday Bowl, when Taylor Mays got his hands on that secondary. Dante Williams out of here, and we got the huge upgrade in performance. So it's not as though Taylor Mays came up with this genius scheme, right? He just taught technique better. Like that, just do that. Just get that done. Get that box checked, and you make a huge leap forward with your defense. So scheme, as we get into the season and as we go up against LSU and Michigan in the early weeks of the season, that stuff will matter to a point. But because USC was so far behind the curve under Alex Grinch because of the excess complexity of his schemes, what really matters is just the technique, the development, a complete reset. And once you get that, once coaches see in spring ball and then in summer camp that guys are tackling the way they're supposed to, they're hitting the way they are supposed to, they're reading plays the way they are supposed to, do that, set that foundation in place, and that will give the coaches more information in terms of, okay, now what's the scheme we use to bring out the best in each player. But at the start of the season, the main thing is give these guys clear minds, give these guys full understanding of just what their assignment is. And then as the season goes along, you can see things built in, incorporated, added. The playbook might get a little thicker, but at the start, it just needs to be know your assignment, perform your assignment, be physical, be sound, be tough. It's really about the basics, given the larger situation USC is in, created by the Alex Grinch mess.
The takeaways.
I'm not going to pretend like I know this Martindale, this Baltimore defense that Lynn runs, but I know it's multiple. You're going to see multiple fronts. You're going to see. He talked about his I remember hearing Lynn say that he likes versatile linemen, so they can play multiple roles without pulling. They can change the front without having to pull guys off. So I think you guys could rely on this fact. He whipped that UCLA defense to completely turn it around in one season. Can he? Will he do that? I know we're talking about two different rosters. Who knows what he's gonna be able to do? But that was a top 10 yards per play defense. They're up there with teams like Iowa, Clemson, Georgia defenses, right? And then I know Mark. And then you have the Big Ten, like the 4 or 5 Big Ten defenses up there too. But he did that top 10 yards per play defense in a league that had, again, Pac-12 offenses. So I think that we're in pretty good hands. I'm not going to say crap about the defense this year until I actually see it on the field. But I think with the coaching staff we brought in, with Lynn's scheme, I mean, it's proven, right? It worked last year. I can't see why it would all of a sudden stop working. It's been working in the NFL with the Ravens for a long time, and I think it's going to continue. And we have more from Adam, guys. So hold on. We're getting these stacked up super chats. We appreciate all of you guys.
Okay, one quick caveat to the schedule, real quick, Tim, is no Washington, no Oregon on the UCLA schedule. So they did miss the 2 top offenses in the Pac-12. So they missed the cream of the crop. But yes, it was a great UCLA defense. No question about that. Real quick, in regards to what Matt was talking about, sifting through my takeaways on the USC defense this season, one would be, I remember Matt and I having our discussion. It might have been post San Jose State. That was game 1, right? Because there were some missed coverages and there were some obvious places where, okay, secondary players are confused as to what the assignment is. They're letting somebody go because they think they have safety help. They don't. There's a lot of these situations going on. And we didn't just jump on Alex Grinch. We just said, okay, let's monitor this. It's early in the season. Are they going to get it corrected? The Arizona game, in that they could seem not to stop the same play over and over and over and over. When you have a defense that's not able to adjust to the 1 or 2 looks that's killing them, that should be an adjustment that's made within the game. And then the run fits, in particular against Washington, were just atrocious. And sure, Joe Moore award-winning offensive line, absolutely. But Washington ran it on the USC like nobody else that they faced the entire season, and that didn't get corrected the entire game. There was no adjustment to run fits and just gaping holes the entire game for Dylan Johnson.
Well, I got to put hold on, Mark. So you said that you're right. So going back, so let's go all the way back. Going back to that UCLA defense. No, they didn't play Oregon. No, they didn't play Washington, but they played a top 20 yards per play in Oregon State. They played USC, and they played Arizona, who was a top 13.
Sure.
So, I mean, it wasn't like they were padding their stats. That's 3 legitimate top 20 offenses that they faced in the season.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But they didn't play a legitimate non-conference game. And they didn't play Oregon and Washington.
You're not making any fans in this room now, Mark.
And they played Boise State in the bowl game. I'm just countering the argument. That's what we do here at the Voice of College Football. We bring balance to the discussion and we push back if we see an opportunity to push back. I'm not saying UCLA did not have a fine defense. Absolutely they did. I'm not saying that their schedule wasn't legitimate. We could go through all sorts of Power 5 schedules that were better and worse. However, they did not play the 2 juggernaut offenses in the conference. They did not play a legitimate non-conference game. They did not play a Power 5 bowl game.
Well, technically, USC had a better offense yards-wise than Washington. So I guess they played one of the 2.
But they didn't play the other 2, Oregon and Washington.
Yeah.
And they played Utah without Cam Rising. So, but but here's the counterbalance that I would make in terms of the argument, because I think Mark makes the right, skeptical case, or maybe not so much even skeptical as just let's not give him too much credit for what UCLA did relative to the competition. The counter to that very reasonable point is that UCLA's offense wasn't very good. UCLA's offense was leaving that defense out to dry, was leaving it exposed, spending a lot more time on the field. Imagine if you had DTR, Dorian Thompson Robinson, you had that 2022 UCLA offense with this defense. Well, that would have been really scary. But instead, you had, a well below average offense. That defense was exposed. What that defense did, in spite of being exposed and overextended a lot of the time, that's definitely a reason to really trust what D'Anton Lynn is doing. So I think that's the right counterbalance to Mark's very good, very informed point about the quality of UCLA's competition.
The points per game average takes a bit of a hit when your quarterback is throwing pick sixes, 3 consecutive weeks?
It was that pick six against Utah because the defense, well, I mean, granted, it was a very shaky offense at that point for Utah. But they were able to almost shut them out. If it weren't for that interception by Moore, they probably win that game. But yeah. So yeah, again, I'm not saying, which we talk about all the time, this is not the 85 Bears last year, but it was a crap defense the year before in turmoil that, had a sick coach who ended up dying during the season. So they had a backup come in. So the UCLA defense was kind of a mess. But the point is he didn't even come in like in the wintertime. He came in the spring and whipped that thing together, got a defense on the field that was a legitimate top 10 defense that was, in the teams they did play, able to hold the yardage down. So anyway, let's move on.
Adam's here. Thank you so much for the contribution, Adam. We appreciate you being here and giving us the GQ angle on USC's recruiting targets. Thank you. But Adam here says Ohio State is a disgrace, literally buying players, the paradigm of pay for play. Collectives must be restricted to paying fair market value for services, not $1 million for one autograph. So, Adam, I have no issue with attacking Ohio State if it's warranted, but are we attacking the game or the player? And at this point, the game doesn't have that many rules or conditions to it. So are they just playing the game to the nth degree? Are they doing anything that anyone else is not doing?
Well, they are. There's a lot of programs that are following the letter of the law. There are other programs that are kind of pushing boundaries. And then you have your programs like your Tennessees, like your Texas A&Ms, like your Miamis, that are pushing it even further, right? And so NIL and the way these universities are interpreting NIL is completely different. So USC is very conservative. And I will tell you, Adam, if you think Ohio State's aggressive now, they just got the AD from Texas A&M. And I think they're probably going to follow a very similar plan as he moved to Ohio State. I can't imagine him choosing a different way. So it'll be interesting to see going forward. Now, there are supposed to be some clarity going forward. Jen Cohen in that 247 interview that Ryan Abraham had, you guys should go check that out if you haven't already. She did say that there are going to be some new, new rules or just clarification on the rules this summer. It is apparently there's an agenda for it. There's a timeline for it, and it's going to be looked at. And I'm hoping that there is some more clarity because NIL was not meant to be what it is. NIL was not meant to be inducements. It was supposed to be, hey, look, you're a Reggie Bush, and you could probably make millions off your name. God knows the athletic department's making millions off your number 5 jersey. You're allowed to go make some money, which was against the rules back then, which the Supreme Court said is bullshit. You could absolutely do that. It's totally illegal. So yes, that won't stand up in court if they sue you. So then the NCAA changed it. Then you have some programs that have run with that and literally made it seedy, and they're paying players to come out and visit. They're setting up arrangements, and that's what Tennessee's getting in trouble for. There's gonna be all kinds of mess that's gonna shake out. But at the end of the day, what is the NCAA going to do at some point? They probably don't have a lot of legs to stand on. So it'll be interesting how it all shakes out.
One indicator in this, and this isn't the full story nor any kind of unveiling to the nth degree, but an indicator would be this is not Ole Miss 2014. This is not a number of other situations in which somebody just comes out of nowhere and suddenly becomes a recruiting giant. So under the old system, Ohio State's a top 3 to 4 recruiter. Like, it wasn't like they were not able to get these type of players before. So,
yeah, but I'm thinking that some programs, USC, get hammered when they do is quasi pushing the limits. It just seems like USC gets hammered. Look what's going on. There was a great conversation with Gerard Martinez talking about what the penalties were for Tennessee when they got caught last time, right? Handing out bags, bringing recruits in, simply nothing. Go back. We're doing that Reggie Bush case for sure. We have to go over it because I'm going to tell you what USC got for what they did back then is probably why USC is a bit gun shy right now about being as aggressive, because they don't want the NCAA coming and hitting them again like they have. We talked about earlier about the under Marv Goo in the early 80s when they got nailed for selling tickets. Then USC, this whole thing with Reggie Bush, where they absolutely took down USC. No one can ever convince me otherwise. That the sanctions did not match the crime. It was ridiculous. So
Adam's making a point in the chat.
To wrap it up, USC, number one, can't take money from the endowment's the endowment. That's the university. Yeah. That's different than athletics. It's a whole different ballgame. So that money's not for athletics. There are some donations that go to the athletic department, but that endowment's for the university, one of the top universities in the world. So that's a whole different conversation.
My final comment on Ohio State, because this is a USC show, but just because Adam's really on this, is that, again, I think they're not necessarily the team you want to go after. They're not the team with the list of 22 transfer portal additions. When you say all-star team, you're talking about 2 players. You're talking about a running back and a safety who are near the best at their positions. That's what they've done. They've pursued 2 players. Will Howard, okay, he's a really good quarterback. Is he really of the all-star caliber? I get it, and we're not going to take off on that because we're talking USC.
I think more of the conversation, Mark, is about high school players. That before they even take a snap in high school, schools are saying, "Come to our school, and we'll give you $300,000." You know what I mean?
Absolutely. The system is broken. It's not NIL. Yeah, it sickens me what's happened to this.
Now, there's certain schools that didn't do very well. All of a sudden, overnight, looking at you, Texas A&M, all of a sudden you're getting top classes, which you never would have gotten if you weren't throwing money at people. And so I'll just leave it there. Hey, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe for daily USC football content. Fight on.